This might be one of the most entertaining teardown videos you see here on YouTube, and not because any of the information that I present today is of any value, it's because I have no idea what I'm doing. I recently uploaded a YouTube video here on my channel breaking down the cost of rebuilding an STI, and that got me thinking, why don't we tear apart the original short block that was found in my STI? It's something that I've always wanted to do, and maybe we can all learn something together. My name's Alberto, welcome to my channel. I post new videos every single week. If you find this video helpful for whatever reason or entertaining, make sure to leave the video a like as it really does support the channel. That being said, let's start tearing into this thing. Actually, let's rewind that. Just a quick disclaimer, I am not an engine builder. I am not claiming to be an engine builder or an expert on the subject matter. However, I'm just here documenting my progress and my journey here on YouTube. And now with that being said, let's start tearing this thing down. Now this EJ25 might look a little bit different to some of you just because I've already stripped it of all miscellaneous parts, gaskets, and the oil pump that you would typically find in the front just on the other side of the block. Now, in order to split the case half open, we need to remove the pistons. And in order to remove the pistons, we need to gain access to the wrist pins. Well, how do we gain access to the wrist pins? We need to remove this air oil separator plate, and this, I believe, what you call a service cover. The air oil separator plate is held on by 6 4mm Allen bolts. 3 out of the 6 are already removed. However, I'm gonna need to take a drill and drill these other 3 out. Unfortunately, here's the rear main seal. And this is actually held on by 2 Phillips screws, which you're gonna need a mechanical impact for. I will explain what that is once we get further along in the video. But for now, I'll put you guys on the stand. We'll do a time lapse for the boring parts. And then for the parts that need more explanation, we'll keep going on with videos like this. Air oil separator plate is now removed. And check this out, guys. Behind the plate actually sits this plug. It threads through right here. And right behind that hole is where the wrist pin is. Now, in order to remove this plug, what you're gonna need is a huge Allen socket, which I didn't have. However, I had this huge torque socket. This is a T70 socket. I bought this when I was servicing the transmission and rear diff doing the fluid flush. And luckily I was able to use the socket plus a breaker bar and I got it loose. Now for the fun part, and by fun, I mean it's gonna be awful. Now you're gonna need to remove this and you're gonna need your mechanical impact or impact screwdriver. I got mine from Harbor Freight today for $10. Comes with a tool and a bunch of bits. So you'll take your bit, you'll put it here, and you guys can see it's already rotating because I already did this. You'll pound it in with a hammer, a mallet, whatever. Then you'll grab the tool, you'll insert the tool to the bit, and then you'll just wanna squeeze and pry in and twist, if that makes any sense. Kind of like you're going inward and then twisting. This is a lot easier than said, and this is the tool you're gonna need to remove these screws because I was not able to do this with a regular screwdriver. With these removed, now we can get a flathead and hopefully we can pry that cover off. Wow, that was actually really easy. So I think we're ready to go. I think we're ready to knock out some pistons. Actually, before moving forward, we need to orient the block just like I have it now because we need to remove 2 more plugs similar to the one we removed up front, and we need to gain access to these 2 holes. This is where we're gonna be pounding out the wrist pin itself, and it's gonna fall out the other side. So we need to go ahead and remove them. Again, all I was using was that T70 socket. It's not ideal, but it's what I have, and I didn't want to wait and go to the auto parts store anymore. Now we take our needle nose pliers, and we're gonna need them because we need to squeeze these clips together, remove the clip, and then we can take our really, really long flathead and pound these things out. Ooh. So I got it lined up just to the point where I can get the wrist pin out of here. Now we'll spin the block around, and hopefully this time the actual pin will come out. Wrist pin is out of here. Oh, here we go, here we go. Here's our piston. Guys, I'm sorry if the camera's a little shaky. I'm just so excited and I'm having a blast doing this, honestly. This is something I've always wanted to do. I want to get into engine building in the future. I mean, it's so cool to see the inside of the cylinder walls, our connecting rod here, to some extent the crankshaft, which we'll see more of when we split the block open. But for now, I'm going to continue tearing this thing apart. We'll put you guys on the stand and we'll do a time lapse. We just removed the pistons from the short block, which means we can move on to the next step. That means we have to get our 12.12mm socket here and gain access to these case bolts that are holding both of the case halves in place. And once we remove those bolts, I believe then we can now split the block open. So for now, what I'll do is put you guys back on the stand. We're gonna do a time lapse. And just so you guys know, I'm going to go ahead and get those bolts broken free first with the breaker bar, and then we're gonna hit it with the impact gun. So hopefully things go smoothly, and I will catch up with you guys at the very end. I think the plan is gonna be to rotate this thing 90 degrees upright, put this thing back on the table, and then we can lift one of the case halves out and then pull the crank out. God, I hope this thing doesn't fucking fall apart. All right, I forgot I was recording. That case half is off. Let's go ahead and remove the connecting caps, I guess, however you guys want to call them. But essentially, they are the other ends of the connecting rods. We'll have to get our 12mm socket and take those out. This is the bottom half of the connecting rod. And if you guys don't know, I believe there's lettering on it because they're supposed to match up to the other side. So I'll just keep those together. Funny enough, I think I pulled out cylinder 2's connecting rod, and I say cylinder 2 because that's the one that failed, right? The one that had rod bearing failure on. You can see all these scorch marks from the lack of lubrication. And I say lack of lubrication because if it was properly lubricated, then that bearing wouldn't have heated up so much. And when it heats up too much, you get failure. There's actually a little piece of metal right here. I just pulled out of my fingertips. The bearing just completely shattered. And that's what you get right here. That's what I guess causes the damage. But I don't know if you guys can tell. Look at the other bearings, the main bearings on the crank. The other bearings aren't scorched. It's only cylinder 2. So that's interesting. All right, let's keep going. We're almost done. And now we can pull the crank out, which I believe we can just lift up, maybe, hopefully, should be. Oh, all right, let's see. The crankshaft is now out of here. All right, guys, I'm gonna go ahead, clean up before I leave for the day, and then I'm getting hungry, so we're gonna wrap this video up tomorrow. So what do you guys think? Absolutely crazy. We were able to tear apart the OEM short block. Now, before we sign off on today's video, let's go over where all those case bolts are. For the right-hand side of the short block where the oil pump's located, there are a total of 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And there are 2 inside the cylinder walls here and here, making for a grand total of 10. And on the left-hand side of the short block, they're all within the cylinder wall here. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, for a total of 6. But wait, there's one more we forgot about. This other bolt's pretty sneaky. It's located on either side. I recommend getting a 10mm and just busting it free with a wrench, but it's located right here. And this wraps up the complete disassembly for an EJ25. I had an absolute blast tearing down the EJ25. It's my first time ever doing it, and I had a lot of fun. Now, next time, I'm gonna be making a video talking about why my original short block or engine failed in the STI to begin with. I'm gonna be going more in depth about the types of failures that you can experience owning an STI. So if you guys are interested in that, make sure you guys subscribe. Until next time, I'll see you on the next one.